The air trembles. The depth of sound carries an echo, a secret whispered among ancient stones. Have you ever wondered whether the creator of the cosmos could be imprisoned by a secret of its own making? Once, the gods spoke with humanity. Their voices rolled through the desert winds. Their presence shimmered across the Nile. They walked within the golden fire of the sun. Yet among them stood one whose silence was divine. Ra, the eternal, the radiant, the all-seeing sun god. He was the sovereign of creation, the father of both gods and men, whose eye illuminated the worlds of the living and the dead, the source of heat, time, and life itself. His light was the breath of the universe. And yet, within that infinite brilliance, something had been taken from him, his most sacred essence, hidden within the confines of his own name. This story is not merely about the rise of the sun, but about the origin of consciousness, the moment light first learned to know itself. It is the tale of how creation became self-aware and how even a god can fall prey to the mystery he created. Tonight, we descend into that ancient silence, through the dark duat into the first dawn, to uncover the secret that bound the light of the world. In the beginning, there was no sky, no earth, no horizon, only none, the boundless ocean of unformed potential. It was darkness without direction, silence without memory. From within this eternal void, existence waited to remember itself. Then, by an act of pure will, Atum, the self-created one, rose from the waters. He was the first consciousness, the spark that emerged from the infinite sleep. Upon the primordial mound, Benben, the first island of stability in the sea of chaos, Atum brought forth the breath of creation. From this sacred act came Ra, the radiant pulse of awareness, the first light to pierce the abyss. The lotus flower opened upon the Benben, and the newborn sun rose from its golden petals. His eyes opened, and the universe for the first time saw itself. The first dawn was not merely light, it was awakening. Through centuries of worship and myth, Ra became the very axis of Egyptian cosmology, the source from which both gods and kings drew their authority. His divine cult emerged during the Second Dynasty but reached its zenith under the Fifth Dynasty, around the 25th century BCE. It was then that Ra's name was carved into the stone of eternity. The pharaohs, proclaiming themselves as the sons of Ra, believed they ruled not by conquest but by inheritance, as extensions of the sun's will upon the earth. His sacred city was Iunu, known to the Greeks as Heliopolis, the city of the sun. There, towering obelisks marked the earthly reflection of the celestial rays, each one a frozen beam of divine light. The great stone pillars were not mere architecture. They were symbols of the Benben, eternal witnesses to the act of creation. Within Heliopolis, the priests of Ra performed daily rituals that reenacted the genesis of the world. Each dawn, as the horizon glowed red, they recited hymns calling Ra to rise again, renewing the order of Ma'at, truth, balance, and cosmic harmony, against the creeping tides of Isfet, chaos. Ra was more than the sun. He was the cosmic architect, the mind that spoke creation into being. From his breath came Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture, the twin forces that separated sky from water, clarity from confusion. The world began to breathe. Through the sacred act of speech, Ra brought into existence every living thing by uttering their secret names. When he wept in joy at the beauty of creation, his tears fell upon the earth and became humanity itself, the cattle of Ra, living under the radiance of his gaze. From an esoteric standpoint, this myth mirrors the awakening of consciousness itself. None is the unconscious, the infinite ocean of raw potential, and Ra's birth is the emergence of awareness from within it. The act of rising from the waters symbolizes the first realization of I am. Thus, Ra is not only the physical sun, but the inner light that illuminates perception and will. The Egyptians personified this divine intelligence in many forms. As Khepri, the scarab beetle, Ra was the rising sun, rolling the orb of creation across the heavens each morning. As Ra-Harakti, he reigned at the zenith of the day, the blinding light of consciousness at its peak. And as Atum-Ra, the aging sun, he descended into the Duat, the underworld, where he united with his shadow to be reborn. His head bore the sun disk crowned with the Uraeus, the coiled serpent of divine authority, the living symbol of power, wisdom, and protection. Through these transformations, Ra taught that all things move in cycles, that every birth is followed by death, and every sunset is the promise of renewal. He was both the source and the journey, the ever-turning wheel of time itself. To the priests and mystics, Ra's story was not just the tale of a god, but a spiritual map. The rising of Ra within the soul represented the awakening of the higher self, the moment when the inner sun conquers the darkness of ignorance. His daily voyage across the sky was the eternal reminder that consciousness must continually fight against the pull of chaos, that every dawn, both cosmic and personal, must be earned anew. Ra was, and remains, the pulse of creation, the light that gives birth to all things, and the silence that remembers how it began. The tale of Ra is not a single myth, but an eternal cycle, a story that begins anew with every sunrise and dies each evening with the setting sun. His life is the rhythm of existence itself. Each dawn marks his rebirth from the eastern horizon, each night his descent into the unseen realm below. His sacred vessel, the Menjet, the boat of millions of years, sails across the celestial river, carrying him in his falcon-headed glory across the blazing sky. As the day wanes, Ra approaches the Akhet, the western horizon, where the heavens dissolve into shadow. There, he steps into the Mesektet, the evening boat, to begin his perilous journey through the Duat, the 12-hour night beneath creation. The sky darkened. The sea whispered his name. This voyage through the underworld is more than the sun's disappearance. It is the drama of death and rebirth, the eternal heartbeat of the cosmos. Each hour of the Duat represents a trial. The dead await Ra's light to be renewed. Ancient texts tell that his barque passes through 12 gates guarded by deities and serpents, their names written in spells carved upon tomb walls. These were not mere stories. They were maps for the soul, guides ensuring the rebirth of both God and man. But lurking in the black waters was Apophis, Apep, the colossal serpent of chaos, the embodiment of Isfet, eternal disorder. Every night, Apophis attempts to devour the solar bark or bind it with his hypnotic gaze, plunging existence into darkness. The clash resounds across the unseen realm. Heka, magic, Sia, perception, and Hu, divine command, stand beside Ra, wielding the power of word and thought to repel the monster. Even Set, the god of storms and destruction, fights alongside Ra, proving that sometimes chaos itself must battle greater chaos to preserve order. The darkness swallowed the clash of blades. As Ra's boat glided deeper through the tunnels of the Duat, the current of the underworld echoed the name of Osiris, the eternal king of the dead. At the 6th hour, Ra's light merged with Osiris, signifying the fusion of life and death, the unity that keeps creation turning. By dawn, the barque emerged from the shadow, reborn as the morning sun, triumphant once again over the abyss. Yet Ra's trials were not confined to the underworld. One of his most striking myths recounts the rebellion of humankind. As Ra aged, his bones silver, his flesh gold, his hair like lapis lazuli, mankind began to whisper treachery. They had grown distant from their creator, plotting rebellion against their divine father. Enraged and betrayed, Ra sent forth his eye, his living wrath embodied in the fierce goddess Sekhmet. She descended like a desert storm. The sands ran red. Her claws tore through armies and cities alike. Sekhmet's roar echoed across the heavens, drowning prayers in blood. She was divine fury incarnate, the sun turned to flame. But as the earth trembled beneath her slaughter, Ra looked down and saw only desolation. Regret pierced him. To save what remained of creation, he devised a plan. He ordered his priests to brew 7,000 jars of beer, dyed red to resemble blood, and flood the plains of Dendera. Sekhmet, drunk on the illusion, drank until she could no longer stand. The fire in her heart dimmed. When she awoke, she had transformed to Hathor, the goddess of love, joy, and music. Through this act, Ra restored Ma'at, the balance between justice and mercy. The blood-soaked lioness became the nurturing cow, proving that even destruction has its purpose, and that compassion is born from chaos. But Ra's greatest test came not from mortals or beasts. It came from Isis, the goddess of wisdom and magic. Desiring his divine power, Isis crafted a serpent from sacred clay and the spittle of the aging god. She placed it upon Ra's path. When the serpent bit him, venom coursed through his body, paralyzing even the sun's own light. The heavens dimmed, the gods panicked. Isis came to him and offered salvation, but only if Ra revealed his secret name, the word that contained his true essence. The name of a god is his soul, his power, his immortality. In unbearable agony, Ra surrendered it, and with that, Isis gained authority equal to the sun itself. She transferred this divine right to her son Horus, ensuring his rule over Egypt and the continuation of her bloodline. After this betrayal, Ra withdrew from the mortal world. He no longer walked among men as he once did. His dominion became entirely celestial. The old god ascended to the heavens, taking his throne upon the solar disk. He became the eternal driver of the sun, guiding the cycles of time, but never again descending to the earth he had shaped. Thus, the story of Ra is not simply one of creation. It is the eternal lesson of power, balance, and transcendence. Even gods must learn that light cannot exist without shadow, that order cannot endure without the memory of chaos. And every dawn, as his golden barque rises once more, the world remembers the promise he made in silence, that even after death, the sun will rise again. Ra is not merely the sun that crosses the heavens. He is the living symbol of consciousness itself, the infinite interplay between clarity and obscurity, awareness and forgetfulness, creation and dissolution. Within the philosophy of ancient Egypt, Ra was not just a deity to be worshipped, but the embodiment of duality, the eternal dialogue between Mater and Isfet chaos. He is the beginning of awareness, but also the tension that keeps awareness alive. From a metaphysical perspective, Ra represents the awakening of selfhood. His emergence from Nun, the primordial ocean, is the first spark of thought rising from the unconscious. That moment, the first dawn, is the genesis of perception. The instant consciousness recognizes itself. Ra's act of creating Hu, command, and Sia, perception, mirrors this awakening. These are not merely divine companions, but principles of mind, the power to speak reality into form, and the capacity to perceive that form. Through them, Ra brings forth structure from chaos, establishing not only the cosmos but also the mental order within every sentient being. Yet Ra is not simply the light that illuminates the mind. He is also the darkness that humbles it. His myths reveal that order cannot exist without the memory of chaos. Each sunset, as he sails into the Duat, Ra returns to the depths of the unconscious, confronting the shadows he himself birthed. The journey through night is symbolic of introspection, the descent of consciousness into its own underworld. It is here that Ra meets Apophis, the serpent of dissolution, every night, and every night he must face it again. This perpetual confrontation represents the inner struggle of every mind, to sustain awareness in the face of oblivion. This duality is perfectly reflected in the myth of the Eye of Ra. The eye is not a mere weapon or servant. It is Ra's externalized consciousness, his active will made manifest. It is both his feminine counterpart and his unleashed power. When the eye transforms into Sekhmet, she becomes the divine rage of truth, a destructive purification of all that threatens cosmic balance. Her massacre of humankind is not simple vengeance. It is the mind turning against its own creation, seeking to cleanse itself from the corruption it spawned. In psychological terms, Sekhmet is the eruption of repressed emotion, the violent self-correction of consciousness when it can no longer bear internal contradiction. The red beer trick that pacifies her holds profound symbolism. It reveals that the suppression of chaos cannot be achieved through confrontation alone, but through transmutation, through the redirection of destructive energy into creative rest. It is the alchemy of the psyche, to sedate rage with illusion until the chaos finds new form as peace. In the deeper esoteric structure of Egyptian thought, Ra's symbols embody universal laws of consciousness. 1. The sun disk. The Aten represents pure gnosis, unfiltered awareness, the eternal flame that gives rise to all things. It is the heart of illumination, the divine state before differentiation, before self and other existed. 2. The Uraeus cobra. Coiled around the disk, the cobra embodies protection, wisdom, and latent destruction. The serpent's venom signifies the dual edge of knowledge, its power to heal or to kill, to enlighten or to consume. Consciousness guards itself with its own danger. 3. The ram-headed Ra, Khnum Ra. His nocturnal form during the Duat journey symbolizes the self-reflective mind entering its own darkness. The ram, the emblem of renewal, signifies that true enlightenment requires dying to one's illusions. Consciousness must descend to rise again. Every symbol of Ra is therefore a cipher, a language through which the ancients expressed the laws of spiritual psychology. His daily cycle is the endless rhythm of human awareness: birth, morning, expression, day, death, evening, and introspection, night. The myth of Isis and Ra's secret name brings this philosophical framework into focus. In esoteric interpretation, the secret name is not simply a divine password, it is the essence of identity, the true self concealed within the illusion of personality. When Isis tricks Ra into revealing this hidden name, she enacts the rebellion of intellect against divinity, the moment when wisdom seeks to comprehend the unknowable. Her triumph signifies humanity's ascent, the power of mind to uncover and internalize the sacred. But this revelation comes with a price. When Ra gives up his secret name, he loses a fragment of his totality. This is the symbolic death of divine omniscience, the moment the eternal becomes self-aware and therefore limited. In surrendering his hidden power, Ra enables the rise of human consciousness. His withdrawal to the heavens is not a retreat of weakness, but a necessary step in the cosmic hierarchy, allowing mortals to inherit the burden of knowledge and choice. Ultimately, Ra's story is the story of consciousness itself, born from chaos, shining in brilliance, falling into shadow, and rising again. His mythology is not about worshipping a god, but about remembering the sun within, the inner light that must face its own serpent every night. For the Egyptians, this was not myth, it was truth written in the rhythm of the sky. Every sunrise was a resurrection, every sunset was the surrender of the self. And every night, the universe held its breath, waiting to see if Ra, the mind of creation, would rise again from the darkness of his own making. Ra's radiance never truly faded with the fall of the Nile dynasties. His light continues to reverberate across the ages, woven into the mythic, spiritual, and artistic consciousness of humanity. He is not merely an ancient deity buried beneath the desert sands, he is an archetype of illumination, the eternal symbol of awareness, order, and renewal. Echoes in religion, Ra's greatest legacy lies in his power to merge and transform, a god who refused to vanish, instead evolving through every epoch. During the New Kingdom, circa 1500 BCE, his essence fused with Amun, the hidden god of Thebes, forming Amun-Ra, the supreme deity who ruled heaven and earth. Amun represented the unseen creative source, while Ra embodied the visible manifestation of that power. Together, they formed the complete divine equation, the invisible essence and the revealed light. Even Pharaoh Akhenaten's Atonism, history's first attempt at monotheism, could not escape Ra's influence. Akhenaten worshipped Aten, the solar disk itself, a purified abstraction of Ra's energy. Though Akhenaten's religious revolution was short-lived, its theological foundation was entirely solar, proving that Ra's archetype was too deeply embedded in Egypt's spiritual DNA to ever be replaced. His echo did not end at Egypt's borders. Greek and Roman civilizations inherited his solar symbolism, reshaping Ra into Helios and Apollo, gods of the sun, music, and prophecy. Across centuries, the image of the radiant god, the all-seeing eye that travels the heavens, became a universal metaphor for divine consciousness, reason, and illumination. Echoes in art and symbols, the sacred forms of Ra still dominate global symbolism. The obelisk, born from the primordial Benben, became a monument to divine ascent. Each stone pillar reaching skyward was a frozen sunbeam, a physical prayer to the eternal light. From Karnak and Heliopolis to the Vatican and Washington, D.C., the obelisk continues to mark the world's great centers of power, carrying the silent geometry of the sun's first rise. His other emblems, the Ankh, symbol of life, the winged sun disk, and the Eye of Ra, continue to resonate across religions, esoteric traditions, and popular culture. The eye, once a living extension of his divine wrath, has become a universal sigil of awareness and protection. In modernity, it adorns architecture, fashion, and even digital iconography, standing as an eternal reminder that consciousness itself never stops watching. Institutional and philosophical echoes, Ra's divine kingship became the prototype for the divine right of rulers. The idea that sovereign power is sanctioned by heaven, seen later in Mesopotamia, Rome, and even medieval Europe, traces its origins to Ra's anointing of the pharaohs as his earthly reflections. Beyond politics, Ra's myth carries psychological resonance. His daily battle against Apophis, the serpent of chaos, mirrors the human struggle to preserve order amid inner turmoil. Modern psychology recognizes this archetype in the mind's fight against the entropy of the unconscious. Each dawn, both literal and metaphorical, is another victory of light over shadow, of awareness over the abyss. In the rhythm of our world, In science, art, and spiritual metaphor, Ra still shines. His name may have changed, his temples may have turned to dust, but his story survives in every flame that defies the dark. As the journey of Ra closes, the circle completes itself: creation, triumph, betrayal, descent, and rebirth. Each sunrise renews his promise that light will always return, that order will always rise from chaos. He was not merely the god of the sky, he was the eternal pulse of existence, the divine persistence of will that keeps the cosmos breathing. Yet even the brightest light carries its shadow. In his silence, Ra taught that power without wisdom becomes destruction. His eye, unleashed in rage, nearly extinguished the world he created. His secret name, once hidden from all creation, reminds us that even gods must guard their truth. Now, thousands of years later, we still stand beneath his gaze. The obelisks that pierce the sky, the solar symbols etched into our cities, the mythic cycles that shape our thought, all are remnants of his eternal voyage. We, born from Ra's tears, live within his endless rhythm of creation and decay. Each dawn, as the sun lifts above the horizon, we look into that same mirror, and in its golden reflection, we see both, the Creator and the serpent, the light we worship and the darkness we must overcome. For within us, as in Ra, the cycle never ends.